I want to share with you this story about a region of Moldova that is in the south part of Moldova, is practically in the border with Ukraine, and this region is called Gagauzia. And this Gagauzia region has recently called the attention of Ukrainian, especially Ukrainian military. And let's take a look at this news. It says Ukraine's ambassador to Moldova is concerned about the sympathy of residents of Gagauzia for Russia. And this is from June 20, 2022. So this is the main thing. Marko Shevchenko, ambassador of Ukraine to Moldova, expressed concern that residents of Gagauz autonomy region they are sympathizers with Russia, And they say in February 2014 there was a referendum and more than 98% of the participants were in favor of Moldova's integration into the Russians-led customs union. And she says that before 2014 there was no problem, but now Kiev security institutions monitor events in the autonomy and in the autonomous region. It is like a translated article, so sometimes it doesn't make sense, but let's just continue. So they continue to monitor the situation to identify possible threats to Ukraine's national security. And this is what was somehow interesting to me. They say both Crimea and Donbass had a very serious flirtation with Russia for a while. They were the target of priority Russian investments, primary Russian interests, priority regions to which Russian delegations traveled, both Crimea and Donbass. So they are concerned that something like this will also happen in Gagauz. And recently the government of Moldova detained Gagauz news editor Nicolae Kostirkin, and he's a journalist. He was accused of systematically disseminating propaganda elements aimed at supporting military aggression against Ukraine. Okay, very grave accusations, except that this happened in Moldova. Why is it illegal to do this in Moldova? I don't know. Anyway, they arrested him, and he says, this journalist says that this is basically a crackdown on the country's pro-Russian activists as well as public leaders, independent journalism, and freedom of expression. Okay, so what I want to know is give you some more information about this region of Gagauzia, because probably nobody's talking about this, and it has probably skipped the mainstream media for the most part, if only they were mentioning it by accident. So this is an article from 2018, and they say Turkey and Russia are competing influences in Moldova's only autonomous region. So the autonomous unit of Gagauzia is most people on the streets communicate in Russian, not in Romanian. So I'm just going to highlight some of the elements. I will put the links to all these articles so you can look at them. They're quite interesting, but I just want to highlight a few things. They say the Gagauz are an unusual people as they are ethnically close to Muslim Turks, but are mostly Christian in religion. They are Moldova's second largest ethnic minority after Ukrainians. Some theories say they are either of Bulgarian or Turkish origin and fled to present-day southern Moldova when the region formed part of the medieval Bulgarian Empire. Their conversion to Orthodox Christianity suggests they arrived in the region before the Ottoman conquest of the 14th century. And they say they're not really sure whether they are Turkified Bulgarians or Christianized Turks, because the language they speak is of Turkish, it is related to Turkish language. So they say that this became part of the Russian Empire in 1812, when it was controlled by Eastern Bulgaria. No? Oh, it says here when more people of the Gagauz ethnia were moving to this area after the Ottoman controlled Eastern Bulgaria came here. No? So that's why some people from this area are also related to Bulgarian. So there are like multiple influences here, and they say that right in 1906 they made some bid for independence when they proclaimed the Republic of Comrat. Comrat is the city, the main city in this region. And then again in 1991 they tried to declare independence after Moldova declared independence from the Soviet Union. And then they later become part of Moldova again. But I think what the government of Moldova did was, I think, a very good solution, good diplomatic solution. They approved a law allowing the people of Gagauzia a large degree of autonomy, thereby resolving the dispute peacefully. It is the only autonomous region in Moldova today. I mean officially autonomous because the region of Transnistria is not officially recognized as independent. And they talk about some of the investment that the Turkish government has been doing in the area. They have created some libraries, they have contributed to medical equipment, hospitals, and even some stadium for soccer teams. They help to enhance the aqueduct system, fix public buildings, support Gagauz radio and TV channel. So the Turkish government is interested in this area because the people here are basically ethnic Turkish. So that's why they are supporting them. I don't see anything wrong with that, but of course politics always have some extra consequences that other than what we see in the surface, no? And they say they don't love Romania, so they don't want to speak Romanian. They speak mostly Russian, and is officially recognized as the language for inter-ethnic communication. And like it says in the article that we read at the start, they supported joining Russia's customs union, and they rejected the referendum. Moldova rejected this referendum, and they say they don't trust Romania. In the history of Gagauzia, they see the Soviet Army liberation of 1944 as if it was saved them from the realization of the plans of Romanian Marshal Antonescu to annihilate and assimilate the Gagauz. So they don't love Romanians at all. In Comrat, as in most towns and villages across Moldova, the main TV channels, magazines, radios, street signs are in Russian. They also encounter difficulties in daily life as official documents such as court trials, fines, or bills are provided only in the official state language, which is Romanian. So they don't treat their minorities very well. What a surprise is that's why they have problems with minorities, not because they treat them well. And then Gagauzia, they adopted a regional education code that they are promoting the Gagauz language, and they are providing study of Gagauz history and culture. And then the government of Moldova didn't like that. They say that they were going to kind of create a plan to substitute the Russian language in schools with the official language, Romanian. So it is exactly similar to what Ukraine is doing, you know, this kind of radical anti-minorities legislation that doesn't encourage minorities to stay within the context of the country in a peaceful way, you know. And then they declared that the Gagauzia code was unconstitutional and provocative, you know. So who is provoking who? Anyway, they say in Gagauzia, at least more local autonomy, including cultural autonomy and support for Russia, remain the preferred options. So let's take a look at the map and see where is this region. So this region is, here is Moldova, Romania, Ukraine. So this area highlighted here, this is the Gagauzia region. This is Comrade. Comrade is the capital of this region, and Odysee is very close. I think it is something like 100 kilometers from Odysee, so not very far. Like you can see, is practically on the border with Ukraine. Here is Tiraspol. Tiraspol is Transnistria, is the capital of the region of Transnistria. So this is, they're also very close to Gagauzia. So this is the geographic situation, you know, where is this? Let's pay attention to some other articles. This article is from May 2022, and they are talking about Moldova pro-Russian region welcomes Ukrainian refugees. So why would Ukrainian refugees want to go there? To a pro-Russian region. So they just mention the story of one particular family, but I think this is probably representative of why some people chose the regions of Russian-speaking regions of Moldova to seek refuge. No, they didn't go to other areas. So they were to Kongas, a small village in Moldova's autonomous region of Gagauzia, and they were in the reception center for Ukrainian refugees. And they're talking about Margarita, who hails from Odysee and now lives on the village's Lenin Street. So like we saw here is they are coming from Odysee to here, so it's very close, not even 100 kilometers, I think. I think we cannot see this region they are mentioning, it's probably very small. Oh, here is Kongas. So this is the region that they mentioned in the article. They just write it differently. So they say 43 refugees live in the center. This is another map. And here they say Margarita arrived when she moved from Tiraspol, the region of Transnistria, you know. So she was initially here in Transnistria, and later when there were some explosions and attacks in Transnistria, she decided to move further to Gagauzia. Say, we will only go further if something happened here in Gagauzia, but now we feel safe here, it is quiet, like it used to be at home in Odysee, and it helps that everyone speaks Russian here. So you see, people in Odysee wants to speak Russian, and they try to convince everyone that everyone in Ukraine wants to speak Ukrainian, like we say before in another video, is not even the correct name for this language, which is completely foreign to the region. It is more the language of the region of Lvov and Ivano-Frankivsk, but is not a language that really represents the majority of people in Ukraine. You can find that video where I mentioned this article, this information about this language, which actually was called before Ruthenian language, but they renamed it to become more appealing to people and to appeal to nationalism. And now they call it Ukrainian language, but it's not really the case, you know. So anyway, they say that there is a different kind of influence here from the European Union, Russia, and Turkey. They are all competing for influence in the region. So that is here. Let's see more. They say Ankara has made considerable investment in Gagauzia, infrastructure, hospitals, and schools. Turkey has also donated significant sums of aid to host Ukrainian refugees here. I think that is a very smart move from Turkey to do that, you know. And let's take a look here. They say after World War I, Gagauzia became part of Romania, a period when many in this region were persecuted. Because of that, Gagauzians generally do not like Romanians, do not learn Romanian, and do not agree with reunification. So no surprises here, no? If they were persecuted, why would they want to become part of another country where they don't like them? Gagauzia declared independence in 1990. It reintegrated into Moldova in 1994, and then it became an autonomous region. It has its own police force, regional laws, and unique economic ties to Russia, the EU, and Turkey. Gagauzians and some Bulgarians, Russians, and Ukrainians, they live here. They are Orthodox Christians and primarily speak Russian. They also speak Gagauzian, a language that is closest to Turkish. That's what we were saying, so it has multiple influences here. And they're talking about the EU and the opinion of people there. They say that if Moldova joins, there will be chaos in Gagauzia. We want to be autonomous, we don't like their laws, and the most important reason is that they allow various LGBT parades there, so they don't like that. You know, they are conservatives, they are aligned more with the way Russia is doing legislation to prevent all these kind of movements, you know, so they don't want it, and I think people should respect their wishes, no? But that's why they don't want to join the EU. And they are talking about these recent, you know, actions from the government of Moldova where they were banning letters Z and B, and they also banned the ribbon of St. George, I think it is the name. The black and orange ribbon used in Soviet medals and on May 9, and they say Gagauzians are mostly pro-Russian and they treasure the ribbon. They considered it was a mistake on the part of the government, you know. Our region wanted to have good relations with Russia, to offer us cheaper gas, and for our students to be able to study in Russia. And they are talking about Meia Sandu, which is the president. He broke this link. And it seems that we're now going against Russia, while we should maintain neutrality. And they consider that news from Romania and Moldova are biased in support of the West. They think we're zombies and can't think we're against the war, obviously, but Moldovan media thinks we're not capable of analyzing things by ourselves, and we are upset about that. It's unpleasant. So it is the same everywhere else, not only in Moldova. You know, the propaganda is such that they don't want people to think, you know. So let's take a look at this video. Here is this video is from Al Jazeera. It's an interesting video, so I'm just going to show you part of this video.
Anastatova is extremely proud of her heritage. She shows us around her house, designed to give visitors a taste of Gagauz culture, and she tells us why preserving it is so important to her.
I want to preserve the heirlooms of my family left behind. It's so important to pass on our traditions, our folklore, our songs to our children, so they can remember how our ancestors lived.
There are 150,000 Gagauz in Moldova. That's almost 5% of the population. They are ethnically Turkic. Their language is also closer to Turkish than any other in the region. But they are also Orthodox Christians.
So if you pay attention here, you know, like they mentioned, they are Orthodox Christian, and all the signs in the streets, they are in Russian. So it is what people like. That's what I will post the link for this video so you can watch it completely if you want to, if you're interested. And so here is the situation. You can see the map. You know, here is Moldova, and they have this region of Transnistria with the capital Tiraspol, and here is Comrade, and then Chisinau, which is the capital of Moldova. Here to the left is Romania, and to the south is Ukraine. And they are talking about some different things here about their origins and stuff, so I'm just going to highlight some things. They declared that they will have the right to self-determination if Moldova were to lose its independence, and they say the most likely scenario for that to happen will be Moldova's reunification with Romania, and they say Gagauzia is nowadays Moldova's only autonomous region, which was achieved after Chisinau realized that it didn't want a repeat of what happened in Transnistria. So that's why I think it was the right decision from the government of Moldova, you know, not fight, don't have another civil war with the people because they want to be independent, so they gave them some autonomy. I think that was the right thing to do. There's no need to fight. If you can live peacefully, that's my opinion. And basically they're saying again that the Gagauz have spoken out in favor of moving closer to Moscow-driven Eurasian Economic Union, which brings together Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, as well as Russia. You know, Comrade has always had good relationships with Moscow. The authority of the Gagauz Autonomous Region had strong ties with Tsarist Russia, and more recently has moved closer to post-Soviet Russia. So this is part of the city center. This is the monument for the victory of the Soviet Union over Nazi Germany. So this is the flag of the region. And they say in Comrade, Russian is the most widely used language everywhere. In the villages, Gagauz is more widely used. And they say that for this reason many young Gagauz go to study in Transnistria because they, you know, of course Transnistria is a bigger region than Gagauz, and they probably have their more universities or things, so they go there because they speak Russian. They speak Russian and they want to continue speaking Russian, you know, so that's the reason, you know. The Gagauz are part of the Orthodox Church, although their ancestors were not Orthodox, as they are believed to have embraced Tengrism, which is a pagan belief, and they talk more about that. So again, it's very interesting reading if you want to explore it. This is an article from 2021, April 29. They say the autonomous territorial unit of Gagauzia, a new focal point for Russia-Turkish competition. And they talk about some interesting facts, like they live at about 160,000 people, they're ethnically Turkish, Christian Orthodox, they speak Russian, they don't want anything to do with Romania or Romanian language. And during the collapse of the Soviet Union, they decided to remain with the Soviet Union. No? Later, they became the Gagauz Republic, but then they later became integrated with Moldova, so it lasted only about 3 years, from 1991 to 1994. And they say they enjoy some benefits, like for example, the rest of Moldova is targeted by Russian economic sanctions, but Transnistria and Gagauzia have exemptions. In February 2014, they had the referendum that we mentioned, where they voted to integrate with the Eurasian Customs Union, and they also voted to become independent if Moldova lose their national sovereignty. and in both cases they had 98% favor. And again, Moldova didn't want to recognize. They say that they were unconstitutional. I don't think people care about that, whether they were unconstitutional or not. It was the majority of the people, so that's what is most important. And they say also the trade with Turkey has increased, like they mentioned in other articles. Turkey is very interested in this region. They have invested there. They even have a consulate in the region. I think it's the only consulate from another nation in the region. And they are considering also in this article the scenario of what will happen if Russia were to invade. Remember, this was 1 year ago, So they say the most aggressive scenario could involve Moscow's attempting to reestablish control of the Novorossiya region of imperial times in southern Ukraine. This will create a land bridge between Russia and Crimea, eventually linking up with Gagauzia and Transnistria. Such a course of action by Russia will fundamentally change the geopolitical and security landscape in Eastern Europe in a way not seen since World War II. And they are talking about this thing that I also was not aware of, so a lot of this is really new for me. They say in 2014, around the same time, separatists were making moves in Luhansk and Donetsk. A pro-Russian separatist group called the National Council of Bessarabia made demands of more autonomy from Kiev. So they are talking about the National Council of Bessarabia. I will show you the map. What is this? They say they were fearing a repeat of the events in the Donbass, but the movement was all but squashed in its infancy after Ukrainian authorities arrested around 2,000 people behind it. So that's what they did, And let's take a look at this. So this region that they're referring to is this region in the south. So this region in the south, there was also an independent, a movement for independence. They wanted some independence from Kiev, but they quashed the movement, like they say. They didn't allow them to do anything, so they quickly acted. They arrested people. I don't know what else they did to them, but is what they were doing. And let's take a look at a little bit more detail about this National Council of Bessarabia. This comes from this website. I suppose is a very pro-West website. This is from 2015. So let's take a look. It says the dog that finally barks: separatism and hybrid warfare in Ukraine. This is by Emmet Tuohi. This is the Gagauzia, probably what you see the monument at the start of many Russian cities, so they have the same style. And they say Kremlin targets sleepy corner of Europe with hybrid tactics. So you're right from the start, you see what is the intention of the article, but never mind, just read it because it has some interesting information. They say on April 6 in Odessa, a group claiming to represent ethnic minorities in southwestern Ukraine founded the National Council of Bessarabia and released on a Russian registered website the manifesto decrying discrimination and calling for greater autonomy. Was eerily similar to the demands made in Donetsk and Luhansk, but before those regions sought independence last year. Oh, what a surprise, no? So they just acted very quickly and they didn't allow people here to do more, but probably they are also willing to be independent. They just didn't allow them to be independent. But they talk about this in a very different way. They say everything is Russia's fault. They say Russia's hybrid warfare tactics in eastern Ukraine have led policymakers in the West to focus on flashpoints where such tactics could succeed again. These include the Estonian city of Narva and Latvia's Latgale region, both of which are predominantly Russian-speaking. So there's problems brewing everywhere, you know, and let's take a look at the maps in a little bit later. So they are saying about this region, you know, that is the border with Gagauzia, especially. See, this is Gagauzia, and this is the region that they're talking about. This region is called the Budjak. So there is southwestern Ukraine multi-ethnic Budjak region. It borders Moldova's pro-Russian southern enclave, Gagauzia, and is not far from Transnistria. Budjak is multi-ethnic. 40% of its residents are Ukrainian, 20% Bulgarian, 20% Russian, 13% Moldovan, 4% Gagauz. And they're talking about this organization. The NRB is unlikely to transform itself into a People's Republic along the lines of the separatist entities in Donetsk and Luhansk. A day after the Odysee conference, the Security Service of Ukraine arrested 2,000 people. So they didn't allow them to do anything. And they say outside provocateurs may be able to exploit legitimate economic grievances in the Budjak. So they have reasons to become independent, no? So, but they called outside influence provocateurs, no? That's what they are suing. So let's pay attention to this map. This is the Budjak region. So here in the corner on the right upper side is Odysee region. And here is Moldova, like we were saying, the Gagauzia region. And look at the composition. Here it is Ukrainians, Russians, Bulgarians, Romanians, Gagauz. So it's a mix. It's people that is ethnically mixed, so there is nothing really wrong with that. No, this is another map, bigger map. So you can see this region here. And out of curiosity, I wanted to show you this part of Narva, which is one of the cities they mention. You know, this is Estonia. So this region of Narva is exactly in the border with Russia, you know. And in this region, 87% of people are Russians. Interesting. And then they have the Latgale region. This is in Latvia. Again, is in the border with Russia. And they say this region has a large ethnic Russian population. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't know what will happen with this region. I just think it's very interesting. I didn't hear about this information before, especially in this context. I knew about this region, but I only knew that they had some Turkish ascent. So in this context, I heard about this region. Also, this region is known within Moldova because they have some wine. They're famous for their wine in this region, and because of the connection with Turkey, and also because it's the poorest region of Moldova, and Moldova is the poorest country of Europe. So they are the poorest of the poorest in this region, you know. So they have reasons to become independent, many reasons, I will think. So let's see how this plays out. All of this is really interesting, you know. Geopolitics are interesting in this area. Let's see what happens in the future. So that's all for now, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, I ask you to please like the video, share it in social media, and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.